that you could actually do in your classroom. But Diane and I are using today for this training a platform called Google Hangouts. You all have access to this. And we're going to share, she's going to share her screen with us as she walks us through this training. But there's a couple of really neat features that we'll be using today. So she's sharing her screen with us as she talks through it. She's also recording this session for anybody who misses the session. And we'll just have the link and they can go back and watch it and they'll show the screen capture and everything. So it's a really nice thing to use too if you want to have a meeting but you just don't want to leave your house or you're tuned into, you know what I mean? Like, so Diane and I have done this before. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So let me tell you where Diane is. So you guys, Diane had to be out of town for a family, a death in her family, and we're doing this via Google Hangout today. So Diane will actually still be doing the training. And so how the process works for me as a facilitator is that she might not hear if you guys have a question during the training, so make sure you make me aware of it, and then I'll ask Diane to review something or to back up for a second. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is just sort of where we are with Canvas. So you have actually, hey Diane, should we have them log on to Canvas so that they can see this agenda?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so go ahead and log on to Canvas and go to the Jackson Hole High School Professional Development course. And then once you're there, go to the Canvas icon. And from the Canvas icon, you will see at the top under Canvas, there's Canvas Glossary and then September 26th calendaring. Go ahead and click on September 26th calendaring. Hey Diane. Yeah. A couple people have a message that says this page has been disabled for this course. Should we just have them look on to someone else?
It says what?
It says this page has been disabled for this course, but not for everybody.
Can you give me an example of a person?
Yeah. Everybody has that.
This page has been disabled, and they got that when what happened when they clicked on
Canvas. On the Canvas, when they click on the Canvas icon, it doesn't open anything. It just says.
Okay, let me quick switch over. It might be. Oh, I know why. Because I was masquerading as a student.
Oh, that's fine. Okay.
Let me stop masquerading and get to work. And
do
maybe
they just have to refresh, or do they have to log back in?
Nope, don't have to log back in. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Let me just make sure that this is. And did they click on the icon or the words Canvas?
I'm not sure. Maybe a combination of both.
Okay. No worries.
Library, Canvas training, in room 1507. Thank you.
And okay, have them try it now.
Okay, so go ahead and refresh, or go ahead and try to click on it. Just can you use your refresh because that might help. It's not letting anybody get in.
Okay, give me just 1 second. I'm just going to move. Okay, just save this, and it should let them in. Go ahead and refresh their screens, and they should see modules up on the left side of their screen now, and it should let them get in.
They're saying that it's working now. Okay, go ahead and try that again, you guys. Yeah. Okay.
Michelle, can you give the steps again?
Log into the professional development page from Jacksonville High School professional development course. You don't have that? Running towards you. Okay. Can I have you guys back? Okay, so what you're seeing, if you, can you still not click on it? You can't get in? You should be able to get in now. Okay, click on September 26th calendaring. You'll pop up today's agenda. And for when you go to work independently today on some of the things you learned, this is where you'll want to go to get the link to calendaring step by step and what we did today if you need to review. So the image that you're looking at on there kind of shows, these are 3 steps, 3 checklists of levels of kind of where we are as a school. So if you'll notice this green level is everything that we've kind of been working on up until now. This is where we've been with getting our students logged in. We've edited our sidebar. In the last training, we edited our sidebar so that the right buttons were showing. We also added a home page, and we provided a link on our home page to course expectations or something like that. Okay, so now we're moving into a more blended learning environment level where we're actually thinking more about how we're engaging the student. So today we're going to go over calendaring, and that includes making assignments in addition to events on the calendar. So with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Diane.
Okay, are you ready? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as Michelle shared out with you, the black diamond checklist that you see up on this, it should be up on the big screen. We're moving into that blended learning environment, and so what we're going to share out is how we can use calendaring not just for events, but for assignments. And those of you, and there are several of you that teach multiple sections of one course, how I can put assignments on the calendar and have the due dates appear on different dates on the calendar, so it's specific to that section in my course. So we're going to walk through this. It's going to be very targeted today so that everyone can grasp this concept, because if you look at the screen and we're on the blue level, transitioning from the green level, it talks about calendaring with due dates, but equally as important, putting assignments, quizzes, discussions, all of these things that are tied to a date and a location in Canvas. So when we think about that, before we get started, there's one thing that we do need to address. Everybody has, or hopefully everybody has, their courses linked from the staff directory page on our school website. Mike Hansen was supposed to have put all of those on there. One thing I would encourage you to do is at some point take a look at your links from the staff directory and make sure that you don't have any content in those courses that has a potential copyright infringement. Let me give you an example. If we've purchased curriculum with your textbook adoption or anything that we've paid for, and they provided, say, Blackline Masters or PowerPoints, and that was part of a paid service, then by law, we would be infringing on copyright if we were to post those out to our websites and made them what we call public. Without going into too much detail on that, if that is a concern for you, I need you to contact me on Monday, and we will turn your course over to what we call a private, which means that parents will not be able to see in your course unless they have their child logged in. Any questions on that?
No, I think we're good, Diane.
Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and get started with calendaring. Now, Michelle, let me know if I'm going too quickly with my scrolling on the screen, or if I'm speaking too quickly, because I know sometimes with the delay on the video with this Hangout, that may be an issue.
Okay.
So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the calendar. But before we do that, if you would look at my screen, please. The black menu bar across.
Hang on one second.
Yep, go ahead.
Good question on parents. Can parents access the do parents get the same calendar the kids do, or do they have to, would it have to be the kids? So in other words, if I put something on a calendar, is that accessible to anyone, or only those that are in my class that I linked into?
So Alan wants to know if he put something on the calendar, is that accessible to anyone or just the students that are in his class? Thinking about parents.
In the short term, it's only students with a login are going to see that. What's going to happen at semester when we turn the gradebook on, what we'll have is what's called a linked observer. For example, if I have a child in the school, I will actually have my own login, and I will be able to see everything that my child has submitted as well as their grades. But obviously, I won't be able to submit assignments for them under my login. And the other part that's important with that is that linked observer, if they have multiple children in the school district, they'll be able to access those different calendars and assignments for all of their children with one login. But that's not going to be turned on until semester.
So Diane, with your screen share on right now, can you see me at all?
No, did you want me to switch over to, I can switch to Hangout and see you.
Well, the only thing I'm saying is that I had a hard time cueing you, and I don't think you heard me, so I just want a quicker way for you to be able to hear me when you're talking and somebody has a question.
Okay, yeah, when I'm sharing my screen, I have to be on a different screen than what the Hangout's on. So
okay. I'll just try to be louder.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right, let's go.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and take a look. First of all, understanding the calendar view. Now, as you look at my agenda up on the screen, I'm not going to go into that link, calendar view. That was just for your benefit. It's a link to one of their help guides that if you need to refer back to it after the training, you'll be able to do so. But when you look at my screen, the thing you need to know about the calendar that's on the black bar across the top, that's what we call the global navigation bar. So that's the global calendar. If I, as the teacher, am logged in, I'm going to see all my classes and the assignments in one location. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on that, and I'd ask you just to watch my screen for a moment. We'll let it load up. And Michelle, let me know when they can see my screen.
Yep, we're up.
Perfect. So when you're looking at the calendar, it's a pretty straightforward calendar interface, but a couple key features that we need to call your attention to. First of all, since I don't teach classes, you don't see a whole lot on here. Just some things that we threw on there, and some of the courses that I'm enrolled in as a student, like Scott's JHHS class. But the important piece is, notice that on the top you have those different views. We have the week view, and the month view is my favorite, but certainly you have that option to use any of the views that you choose. And then we're not going to train on it today, but I want you to notice that there's a button that says Scheduler. That actually is a really useful feature of Canvas. If you want to schedule meetings with your students, and on the calendar you want to let them know when you're available for them to meet you, so that they can sign up for, they can actually register for sessions to conference with you, you can use the scheduler very effectively. It's a nice enhancement on this calendar. On the right-hand side, one of the things that you should be aware of is the calendars that I have shown up on the right-hand side are those courses that I am involved in either as a student or as a teacher. Now, one of the things that you'll notice, especially in a student calendar, is that they can get a lot of events on a calendar in a very short period of time. If they're registered in, say, 6 classes, and then also we have our coaches doing their own calendars. So if they're on the football team, they would also have a layer there, National Honor Society. So as you can see on the right-hand side, they could get a lot of calendars. And if it gets to be too overwhelming when you're viewing, you can always toggle these on and off. So if I click on this Jackson Hole Middle School Professional Development, you'll see that the item on the 26th disappears. So you can toggle on and off different layers of the calendar if it gets to be too busy. And that can be really helpful from a student perspective. I'm going to switch over to a student's calendar so that you kind of get a sense of that. So the calendar that's loaded in front of you is one of our high school students that has all the courses that you see listed on the right-hand side. Okay, now if I go and toggle these items on and off, it's going to remove items from the screen, which is a nice way to view if you really want to just view one or two courses. Additionally, what I can do is I can take a look at these courses and say, for example, I wanted to click on this one right here. This is going to show me the assignment that this teacher has put in for School to Careers. They can scroll through here. And you can always look at this view full screen by clicking on the heading of the item, and then it will load it full screen. Come on. There we go. Okay, so then they get a little bit larger view. Now, some people I know have actually gone in and put embedded videos in here, and then put an assignment for their students to do, maybe a handout, and they're actually doing that all from the calendar. The reason we introduced the calendar first is because you actually could run your entire class from the calendar if you chose to do so. I believe that the calendar and all your assignments, if you're doing it that way, that's kind of just getting started with making sure that students can see what they need to for your class. So when we think about that, I'm going to jump back for just a moment to the agenda page. And I'm going to share with you, I'm going to scroll down here and show you what I mean by the student's view is very different than the teacher's view. So I'd like you to take a look at my screen, and on your agenda that was in Canvas, we shared this. And here's one of the #1 mistakes that we're seeing with people putting items on the calendar. So for example, when you go to set up a new event or a new assignment, the first thing it asks you for is a title. It wants you to title this assignment or event. Up here where you see chemistry, this teacher just wrote the word chemistry and that's it. When I make a comparison down here on these, this teacher actually put a page number with maybe items that they were supposed to complete. The problem with this is if that student has 7 teachers, plus sports, plus National Honor Society, this item here is going to take up the majority of the block of the calendar. So one of the things we want to be really careful of when we're putting in assignments and events today is to be mindful of this and put a really short or abbreviated title for the item. It can be the course name. It could just be as simple as Friday's assignment or just a specific name, Rainforest Project, whatever that might be. Okay, so the reason that we're really encouraging people to go with the calendar is for the benefit of the students. This actually creates a digital planner for the students so that they can see all of their assignments in one location. I really believe this potentially could help them with some planning. Say if there's a football coach that has put a game on there and they see that they have a game coming up and it's the night before a couple big tests, and hopefully that will help them pre-plan. The other reason why this is important is when you're looking at this calendar view, if the teacher makes any changes to this, the student will receive a notification letting them know that the assignment has changed. So that's all tied into the calendar. This is also a really great way for parents to support their child's learning, in that if you've put a calendar event on there and they're logged in with their child or with their own observer password, they'll be able to watch the video that you showed in class or click on the handout and look at some of the finite detail that you've provided on the calendar. So having said that, I'm going to switch back to my calendar view so that you can see that. And then I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate for you, and then we're going to talk a little bit about, we're actually going to have you practice this. So before we do that, one of the things that I want to show you is that anytime you want to move an event on the calendar, this event that's on the 10th, if I click and drag that, if it's an event or an assignment, it will automatically update this event and put the current due date and all the details. So the students, or the teacher actually, can move these assignments around very easily and have it notify the student that there's been a change. So I'll go ahead and click anywhere, and please know that I could click on a date for an assignment or I could click on the plus, right? Now, if I click on it, you should see, Michelle, do you see the pop-up that came up on the screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So when you take a look at this, you'll notice that at the top it says event and assignment. Okay, now this is a really important piece. Down at the bottom it says calendar. Okay, now you want to make sure, if I were to add this as an assignment or an event and I thought my students were going to see it, the problem is this is going to appear on my personal calendar. When you're entering assignments and events from the calendar view, you need to make sure that you have selected the appropriate class that you want it to show up on. Okay, so it would say chemistry or, Spanish 1, Spanish 2. So select the correct calendar that you want it to show up on, then you start adding your detail. This title right here is where I was talking about keeping it really succinct. So I'm just going to call mine sample. At any time you can click on the date here. You want to change the date on the fly, that's absolutely okay. Some people like to have the events only show up on their calendar for a short period of time, and then they like to pull it off. So, you could actually do this. You could say, I want this event to show up for 5 days. Maybe you're going to be doing some MAPS testing in your classroom. So you might put MAPS testing, and you want it to appear from the 10th to the 13th. You could actually put that in here. We'll leave location blank, and remember, we're still just on an event. And if I go to more options, it gives me that rich text editor that we're starting to get comfortable with, in that this screen right here allows us to do a lot. We can add hyperlinks, images, text. We can do pretty much whatever we want to in here. Now, if I had a course, say I was teaching Spanish and I had 3 sections of Spanish 1, then I might want to say use a different date for each section right here. Okay, and if I had multiple sections of Spanish, then right down here I would be able to choose different start times and end times for each one of my sections. Okay, my course does not have multiple sections in it, but if it did, that's what I would see right down here. When you're all the way done, you can click Update Event. The one thing that you should know is that you, I need to put a due date on this, so let me just grab a date. So the one thing that you should know is once you put an event on the calendar like this, you can't go back and change the calendar here. So if you put it on your personal calendar instead of one of your class calendars, you won't be able to go back and change that. Now, before we take a look at assignments, the one thing I do want to, that I've heard from some of the teachers is they say, well, I put an assignment on my calendar and the deadline is on the 19th. I want my students to know, I want them to do a few things prior to the 19th, and I want it to be on my calendar. So this is what I would recommend. I would put the assignment that's going to be associated with a grade on the 19th because that's the due date. But if you had, maybe you wanted them to read a chapter or you wanted them to do some preliminary discussions, then you might come over here and put those items in the form of an event. And the reason you would use event and not assignment is because assignments are all tied into your grade book. You only want to use an assignment when you indeed want to give them a grade. Okay, questions on that? So I'll go ahead and just click another date here, and this time I'm going to select assignment, and I'll just give it a title. And I can give it any due date that I want to. I'm going to give it on the 30th. I'm going to check this one I want to be, say, on my Math K-12 Content Team class. It's under Assignments, and then I'm going to go to More Options. Now on today's agenda, I did put a link in there that describes in a little more detail what all of these little boxes mean at the bottom of this screen, because there's a lot here. But if you want to keep it really simple, you would use this top box here to write any directions, put any images or video. I know that Todd Taylor does a lot with his videos for industrial arts, so he would maybe want to embed a video here, put a link to a video. And then here you can put the point allocation. If you're going to make it a group assignment, and we're not talking about grouping today, but if you did want to do that, this would be the location. I'm just going to leave that blank. And then you can determine how you want the grade to be displayed. There may be times that you want to have something in the grade book, but you don't want it to be graded. Maybe you just want it to be a checklist for mastery. Then you could still put it in as an assignment so it appears in your grade book, but you would say not graded. Then you could come back later and just put a check mark in your grade book that says, yes, they've turned it in, they get their points, and they can move on to the next item.
Diane, can you hold right there?
Absolutely.
I have a question about, the linking with the Power School, because we do these same things where we write the description assignment or what they're being graded on in Power School. Are they talking as well as the grading, or am I going to be typing this information into two places?
No, I think, Diane,
yeah.
The question is whether if we create in the future will assignments push to Power School so that they're not double entering anymore?
Yes, that's correct. Now, currently, the gradebook is not. We're not doing the double push. That's going to happen in November. So what will happen is when you fill all these details in Canvas, it will actually push that information right to Power School. Now, if you tend to be a Power School user and you've set up an assignment in Power School, it will push directly into your gradebook in Canvas. But that will not happen until that gets turned on in November.
Any other questions? Okay, we're good, Diane.
Okay. So then as we move down the screen, here are submission types. Now we've got lots of different submission types here. You can say no submission. Maybe you're just going to do an activity in class and you don't want them to submit anything digitally, but you still want it to be a grade in the grade book and you still want it to be on your calendar. So you might not have them submit anything in an electronic format, but you might just have them do a worksheet and hand it in to you. So then there would be no submission in Canvas, but you do want it to show up on the calendar and in the gradebook. An online submission is exactly what we're seeing back here in the back. You might want students to use the webcam on the computer and do a media recording, a website URL. There's lots of different possibilities here as far as how they can submit their assignment. This is another one that says, I just want them to submit it on paper. And I'm not entirely sure what no submission versus on paper is. To me, that's one and the same. Or maybe you're not going to have them submit anything, but you just do want to have a checklist. Maybe there's not going to be an on paper. I think this was just an easier way to allow to let teachers know that they could still do paper copies of things, but then they wouldn't submit anything on Canvas. They would just put a grade in the grade book. And the final item is an external tool, and we won't address that one until we talk about these third-party apps.
Diane?
Yes.
Can I just clarify something?
Absolutely.
So on your submission type, I didn't see Google Docs. And that's something that I think maybe we should mention. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So where Google Docs is actually going to come in, when you click online here, okay, then down here you're going to click File Uploads. Now, and this is going to be part of another training, but one of the things that's going to happen is if you click File Uploads and you have had students register their Google account and you have registered your Google account, then those students will automatically get an option when they go to turn their assignment in to select their Google Doc. And if we have time towards, well, actually we're almost out of time, but I can go ahead and show you how you can check which students have registered their Google and whether the teacher has registered their Google.
Okay, thank you.
As we move down the screen here, right here, if it was a group assignment, you would just select group assignment and it would prompt you to let the computer know which groups, because you have the opportunity to set up numerous groups. Now this feature right here I like a lot. Last year when I was using Canvas, if my kids were in groups, I wanted to be able to grade their project and have it automatically fill in the grade for all the students in the group. That is the default. In other words, if I say this is a group assignment and I've assigned my kids to groups, one person in the group turns the assignment in, and when I grade it for that group, it actually fills in the grade book for everyone. Unless you choose to assign grades individually, and you can do that as well. The other thing that you can do is oftentimes, and I think Mary Holzer already used this feature once this year, is where you can require peer reviews. Maybe you want the student to turn the assignment in, and then you want Canvas to automatically assign another student in the class to review their work and make comments. So you can actually have Canvas do that. Now down here in the bottom, this is where those of you that teach multiple sections of a course, notice by default it's saying this is due for everyone. But if I didn't want it to be due for everyone, I wanted it to be due, maybe I have 3 sections showing in this pop-up window. Then I could say period 1, it's going to be due on September 30th, and then I would come down here and add another row. It would give me another option here, and I would add another one for section 2. It's due on October 1st. And so you could have as many sections as you have, you'll have that many options popping up in this box. And therefore, their assignments will appear on different dates of the calendar, and they'll only see their own dates. Okay. Now, if you decide to come in and make a change to it, you can click right here. And I usually clicked this because if I made a change and clicked and dragged something on the calendar, I wanted it to notify my users immediately that a deadline had changed. So you do have that option. When you're all the way done, you just click Update Assignment. Oh, and I said Group Assignment, so it's prompting me that I didn't tell it which groups. So I'll just click Update Assignment. And this is going to automatically go onto my calendar. Now notice here, I can put videos, pictures, directions, everything that I possibly want to, so that the students are very informed regarding this assignment. And when I come back to the calendar, you'll see that my assignment appears on the calendar. And here's my, that's an event. Let me scroll down because I think it was down in here. Yep, right here. Here's my assignment. And you'll notice that there's these different icons, and these icons are telling me something. If it has a calendar, that means you put it on the calendar as an event. If it has a piece of paper with a little fold on the upper right corner, that means that it's an assignment. And if it looks like this little speech bubble that you see on the 25th, that means that's a discussion forum. And discussion forums can be graded or not graded. Okay. The only other thing that I want to show you about the interface is on the right-hand corner. As I scroll down my screen, there's this little option called Updated Items. If I expand that, what this is this is just showing me any items that the people that are teaching these classes have made changes to. They're actually going to pop up right over here if they've updated or changed items. By default, that is minimized. So you don't always see it, but you can expand it. Any questions on that? Okay, I think this is a perfect opportunity for you to go ahead and start adding. I know that Scott had asked you to put together some assignments for the next 5 to 10 days, and so be thinking about when you're putting these assignments on a couple key pieces. If it isn't associated with a grade book or a grade, I would encourage you to use event on the calendar, and also be mindful of the title so that you're not taking up too much of the space on that given day of the week. Michelle, do you have anything to add there?
No, I was just actually going to look at the agenda to see if we actually, okay, so the next session starts at 3.
Yep.
So anybody could just hang out until the next session if they needed help, right?
That's correct.
And you're going to stay with us?
I'll stay in that session, yep.
Okay. So if you want to stay and work on this with support, so Diane will be here and I will be here, and then those of you who are already doing this, Canvas teacher leaders, and others who are already doing this, if you want to support too, help somebody around you, that would be sweet.
Can we make different icons?
Yeah.
Right, well, yeah, so you can do it now. Just do it. Online. Yeah.
Yeah, all of it.
Because I can do it again. Yeah, that's right. I guess that's what it is. I'm taking it off. I didn't know it was. So I'm taking out like a time.
Michelle?
10 grades.
are part of this open space. Right. All of the benefits of culture. Yeah.
Hi. Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
I'm since I'm broadcasting this, I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast so that it starts rendering that video. Then you're going to see me invite you to the next Hangout so that they're two separate videos.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.